Welcome to the Rotary Club of Bearden. Welcome all visitors and guests. I ask that you silence your phone. And to lead us in the song, Sam, can you lead us in the song?
Why not? Why not? Let's try one we're all familiar with. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Joe, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And to lead us in the invocation, it's Jim Pugh. You'll bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you give us. We ask that you be with us with the world in such chaos and suffering, the wars in Sudan, Ukraine. We ask that maybe you give wisdom and seek peace in those areas, and that we have less suffering. And we also ask the United States, where you have so much division and we've got guns killing people, we ask that you give strength to people and wisdom to be able to get along with each other, and that may we seek peace with each other. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Guests and visitors, Jim Christensen. I don't see a list, but we've got Martin.
Sam Carey has a guest.
Yes, indeed. This guest has been here before. Our guest today is Martin Daniel. He's been here a few times. He's an old friend from college. He has been downtown Rotary, so I think he knows what we're doing. He was our state representative in Nashville from 2014. No.
2020.
Thank you. And he's been in advertising most of his career, and he is the emeritus member of his advertising firm right now. So I bet you we could talk this guy into being a member if we tried hard enough. So please welcome Martin Daniel.
Thanks, Sam. It's good to have you. I had a buddy that was his wife, a couple months ago, his wife texted him and said, "Window's frozen, won't open." Husband replies, "Gently pour some lukewarm water over it and gently tap edges with hammer." Wife texts back 5 minutes later, "Computer is really messed up now." Do we have anything to report on mobile meals?
Yes, I delivered mobile meals today. Had 11 people that we delivered to. So everybody said we do fine. Had some new people on the route.
Sounds good. Bruce, readers?
Yes, today Rosa, Jim Christensen, and Sam Carey will be reading today. We're filled out for the next 2 weeks, May 5th and May 12th. We have 4 readers on each day. So.
Okay, sounds good. When's the last week? Is that?
May 12th, because the 19th is like field day and nice Friday in school.
They're not invited to field day?
Not good.
Just a reminder, there is water mission they're doing at North Shore Park. If anybody wants to be involved with that, that would be good. That's actually, it's it's separate where they're doing water projects for developing countries where they're trying to raise money, $30,000, I think is their goal, by doing a little event at North Shore May 6th. And it's in the newsletter, the details. Any other announcements? David, you want to introduce our speaker?
I'll be glad to. This will be one of the mystery speakers, and that she's going to tell you more about her than I can tell you about her. I've got a couple of blurbs. Our speaker today is Sue Burns. She's from the Oakridge Rotary. She's been a member for a couple of years, so she knows what we do here. She's basically in charge of the Flatwater Tales Storytelling Festival. She's going to tell us all about it today. She spent her career as an organization development consultant and retired a few years ago. She grew up in Oakridge and had the good fortune, I did mean to sit next to her to talk about this, good fortune to live all over the country and even in Switzerland for 4 years. So please join me in welcoming Sue.
Okay, let's see if I can get this to work. Yeah, okay. Let me try this one. Oh, there we go. Well, first of all, I'm really happy to be here with you. I am a new Rotarian, and Martha Hobson recruited me to be a member of the Breakfast Rotary Club a couple of years ago. And I said, well, okay. And she said, by the way, you're going to be really busy because I'm the head of marketing for Flatwater Tales, the Storytelling Festival. I said, what's that? And she said, you're going to know all about it soon. So she just tucked me right under her wing as a new Rotary Club member, and every week I had responsibilities helping her run this project that I'm going to tell you about. The Storytelling Festival in Oakridge is a Rotary project. It was started by 4 or 5 Rotarians, and they birthed it, and it has gone for 6 years. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why they did it. And I'm going to invite all of y'all to come on over to Oakridge, just to jump on down Pellissippi Parkway and come see us on June 2nd and 3rd and participate in the Storytelling Festival and see what you think. Our story starts in Jonesboro, Tennessee. Who knows the 2 things that Jonesboro is famous for?
First capital.
The first capital. It was the first city in Tennessee. Excellent. You get extra points for that, David. Anybody else know what Jonesboro is famous for? It is where the National Storytelling Festival happens the first weekend in October. Somebody got it at that table. They just didn't say it loud enough to get the points. But it's where 10,000 people gather every year in October to come hear the best storytellers in the United States, those that are on the national circuit and make their living by telling stories. And it was in Jonesboro 7 years ago that the Rotarians were there just for a weekend to enjoy it. And they stood outside the tent after listening to a very important teller tell some stories that got to conversations that are really difficult to have. And they stood talking about it in the street, and they said, you know, what they just accomplished in that tent is what we as Rotarians try to do in the world, to do things that are beneficial for all, telling the truth, ushering in kindness and compassion and empathy for others. And they said, wouldn't it just be wonderful if we could have storytelling like that in Oakridge? Did I just lose my mic?
Yeah.
Well, I can talk loud. And so at that point, they made a decision to go ahead and launch their own festival there. And so this is the picture, the slide up on the screen shows you inside one of the tents in Jonesboro. Jonesboro only has 5,800 residents, but that first weekend in October, she will welcome 10,000 visitors. So there will be 2 visitors for every resident when the National Storytelling Festival is held. There are no buildings large enough in Jonesboro to hold those kinds of crowds. So they erect these enormous tents, bigger than circus tents. Each of these tents will hold over 2,000 people, and they space them just far apart so that if one tent is lapping uproariously, you can still hear the storyteller in the next tent. It's astonishing, and if you've never been in October to the National Storytelling Festival, I highly recommend it. Well, again, our Rotarians had just come out from hearing one of these speakers, and they gathered and said, this is something that we think we're feeling called to do, to bring the storytelling to Oakridge. But why? They had the money and the resources to go hear these tellers themselves every year and to not go through the birthing pains of trying to create a festival and staff it with volunteers and to find venues and to hire the storytellers, all of that. But they did it because they thought they could bring to the community some peacemaking tools. That they could bring to the community a way of helping to walk in somebody else's shoes and have empathy for them. And so that's why they did it. They pitched it to their local clubs and they said, sure, let's do it. And then the Noon Club also said, we'd like to help. And the Sunset Club in Oakridge said, we would also like to help. In addition to bringing the goodwill and the peace and the stories, they've also launched several community service projects out of Flatwater Tale, bringing new benches, new sound systems into our community auditorium. And this year, our community partner will be the Scarborough 85 Monument Story, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So one of the things the people that were on that founding group, they have come to believe that we are all storytellers, that as human beings, we passed along information using verbal storytelling the millennium before we started writing things down and dealing with the written word. And as you sit and listen to a master storyteller, it's astonishing how quickly you recognize that it's hardwired in us as humans to get into that cadence, to hear it, and to learn. And it also, the storytellers can slip under your defenses and guide you down a path where you talk about things you normally would not feel comfortable talking about. They really are magical in what they're able to do. So the Flatwater Tales debuted for the first time in 2018. They were at the Oakridge Playhouse that year, 332 seats. They did 3 performances and sold out all 3. It was wonderful, but they needed a bigger venue. So in 2019, it grew and it improved. They moved to the historic Grove Theater in Grove Center in Oakridge, and that's 650 seats. And they went a long way towards filling that. And so everything's going perfectly. So well. You know, what could possibly go wrong? COVID. That's exactly right. Oh, thank you. Okay, how's that? Is this better? So COVID came, and of course the festival was all ready. You all remember that day. I remember it is like March 16th. I was supposed to go to the Irish St. Patrick's Day parade in Knoxville. Was really looking forward to it, and they canceled it. And it seemed like everything on my calendar was canceled from that moment on. Do you all remember? It just happened so suddenly. You know, the one thing good about the pandemic, though, my car has never gotten better gas mileage. I was getting about 3 months to the gallon. I don't know about y'all. But anyhow, so we had to cancel the 2020 show completely. Tellers had been hired, venues had been booked, money had been spent, brochures had been published, but we went home. But we thought, surely we'll be back next year. Well, the next year, we had a 2-track planning system, and one was a live event and the other was a virtual event. And at the very end, you know, we had more breakdowns and more breakouts of the disease. That's not the right word. Community spread. There we go. Look, I'm losing the language of the pandemic. That's fantastic. In 2021, we did a virtual event, and it was a disaster. I mean, nobody came. They just didn't want to do it. The tellers were great, except, you know, there's always a silver lining. 12 people from Canada accidentally tuned in to our festival, turning us into an international festival in 2021. That's all the good that happened. So last year we relaunched ourselves and we wondered, will it survive? Will people come back? Can we get back on track with our storytelling festival? And our relaunch was a success, and mostly, I believe, in my opinion, because one of our executive committee members commissioned, he got a grant and commissioned a storyteller named Sheila Arnold, I don't know where Sheila lives, to come to Oakridge and research the story of the Scarborough 85 and to tell it for the first time, being told in a big group at our Friday night kickoff event in last year. So Sheila interviewed everybody from the Scarborough 85, and then she went away to a writer's camp and sequestered herself for 4 weeks and wrote the story. And the Scarborough 85 is, a lot of people have heard of the Little Rock 9, you've heard of the Clinton 12. These were the first desegregated schools where people went in, and lots of times there was violence and hostility. A lot of people do not know that the very first schools desegregated in the southeastern United States were Oakridge schools. They were Oakridge High School and Robertsville Junior High School. And it happened in the mid-50s, a full 5 years ahead of those others. And the only reason it did is because President Truman demanded it, because Oakridge was Atomic Energy Commission. It was U.S. government. And they were desegregating all the military bases at that time, and he said, I want Oakridge to be the same. And so, boom, it happened. Well, it was also very traumatic for the 85 students from the Scarborough community, which is the black community in Oakridge, still is, and for them to be ripped out of their incredible schools that they had in their community and sent into the larger white high school. They had to go. It was the law, but they knew they weren't wanted. They were going to be tolerated, but not wanted. And the students were terrified. They were so afraid they didn't know if they were going to be beaten in the halls. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. Their parents were afraid. It was dark when they got on the bus. The bus was silent as they rode to their new fate, not knowing what it was. The school year passed with no violence, but those same students also weren't allowed to go to the prom. They weren't allowed to go into any white student's household. They made no friends there, and they split them up in the school. So those students sat by themselves in classrooms all year with nobody who would speak to them or talk to them. People didn't know what to do. As you know better, you do better. We didn't know much about integrating in 1955. So Sheila Arnold interviewed every one of the last remaining people from the Scarborough 85. A few would not speak to her. They said, I can never talk about it. It was so painful for me psychologically. I can't talk about it. I start to shake all over. But others said, yep, I did it. I survived it. I came through it, and I'd be happy to talk about it. And then the night that Sheila was going to present the story for the first time publicly, she went first to the Scarborough Community Center and invited all those folks in wheelchairs to come and hear her story first, that they themselves privately, before she opened it to 700 people in public. And so, there were tears. They cried, but they were also proud that their story was being told. The fact that it was going to be told, captured the attention of the New York Times, and they had a reporter and cameraman there, and they did print the story of the Scarborough 85 in the New York Times the next week. So Sheila comes on stage, she tells the story, and you know how you hear about a historical event, but it's something that's over there and happened to other people. The way she told this story, I was riding that bus. It was happening to me. I was feeling all of it. I was feeling the pressure of the principal to not let anything bad happen, of the students, all of it. She took us to church. We were in it with her. So I think Sheila is the main reason the Flatwater Tales last year, the relaunch happened, and it was so captivating. And then people who came Friday night came back Saturday night to hear the other tellers go forward. So this year, and there's a picture of Sheila Arnold on her little white stool telling the story of the Scarborough 85. She was incredible. And the other tellers that came were Bill Lepp, and he does spell his name Bill with one L, I don't know why, and then Kim Whitecamp, and a big crowd there cheering. And they had a great turnout. It was good. So this year we're hoping to build on that. On Friday night, June 2nd, and I hope some of you will come. I really do, because it's special what they do. This man is the Reverend Robert Jones, and he's coming all the way down from Detroit. And he is a phenomenal singer and storyteller, and he plays about 34 different instruments. And I don't know if he's going to play them all on stage I don't know what he's going to do. But he's going to be the keynote address on Friday night, June 2nd, and he's going to tell the history of America through song. And I know y'all are pretty good singers. I've already heard you sing, so you might enjoy him. There's a family show on Saturday morning, actually 2 family shows. We're going to do one at the public library and then a family show at the Grove Theater at 10 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, Lynn Ford, who is a 4th generation storyteller. She calls herself Afro-Latchin. Her family has always been in Appalachia, but they're from African American heritage. And she said some of the stories you think you know growing up in East Tennessee, as we have, there's a twist, there's a spin on it when you mix it with the African background. So I'm very curious to hear her stories. At 2 o'clock she'll be on, and also Bill Lepp and Robert Jones will come back and do different things than they did on Friday night. On Saturday night, that's Bill Lepp. He is number one, hands down, reputed to be the best storyteller in the United States of America at this time. He is phenomenal to listen to. His verbal acumen, the way he uses his body, he is uproariously funny. When I was at the National Storytelling in October, I could see the tent over there where Bill Lepp was, because it only holds about 2,500, but there was another 1,000 outside trying to get into the tent, or just leaning like E.F. Hutton, trying to just hear a little bit about what he was doing. He's that popular, and he's going to be in Oakridge on Saturday, June 3rd. So we also got 2 workshops that are going to happen Thursday in the daytime and Friday on the daytime, and all this is in your brochure that I left for you. One of them, Lynn Ford, she said, for those of you who are curious what your great-great-great-grandchildren will say about your family that's important, she encourages you not to leave that to chance, but to carefully curate in writing and also in presenting verbally what are those litmus test stories of your individual family. The one of resilience, the one about loss and coming back, the one that's about character and who we are as a people. To choose carefully what those stories are and how to launch them in your family so that they will continue to be told 150 years from now. And so that's what her workshop's going to be doing, is trying to help you distill it down, get it blocked out in form, get it in writing, and then also a chance to deliver your family story right there in the workshop. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be there. Robert Jones is going to do one, how to talk to people. Your prayer this morning was about the division in the neighborhood. How to get yourself on the same wavelength and how to get close to people using music as a tool, as a bridge to bring yourself closer with people who may be a different skin color, who may have a different political view, but that it's a tool that we can use that's underutilized today. And then we have tickets. There's a barcode there on the back. You can just click on it. It will take you straight to the website to buy tickets. A pass for an adult is $15 for a single show to come see. If you all came as a group, more than 10 together to a single show, I can get you hooked up with group discount tickets for $13. So let me know if you have any interest in that. But we hope you'll come Friday night at 7 o'clock, June 2nd. Saturday 3 shows and 2 workshops in the daytimes preceding. One one of the reasons that I am happy to help promote this event is because I know these founders and I know what they put into it, the lifeblood that they put into it. They're getting older. They were in their 70s when they started this, so we're in our 80s now. And some of them feel like this may be the last year they get to sit in the audience and share this with the world and share the audience response to it. So that's one reason I've gone out to some Rotary clubs and invited y'all to come. Just to be there to support some Rotarians who made something happen. This is the legacy project for these 5 folks, and I hope you'll be there. Just to give a little Rotary support.
Appreciate that, Kesha. We give a book each week to Pond Gap School, and we give it. We have the speaker sign it. This book, I get in trouble if I don't read it, is The Pigeon Will Ride the Roller Coaster. So, does anybody have a pen? And then we appreciate you coming out. We also have a little momentum.
Thank you.
Go on your desk. Couple of things. I saw Monty out there. Monty and Tom spent the last few weeks. Each year we do the Ely Pickle Scholarship, and they send out, get West High School to get applicants, and then they meet with the applicants and pick a person to give our scholarship to. And Monty and Tom have been doing that the last few weeks, and appreciate that. I think they met with the students this last week and got one hopefully we may be able to see in May. But I appreciate all your work you do. Bruce, one thing I thought about, do we have the pretty close to final total on the casino?
Yes, we do. $26,226.86.
Could you get a little more exact?
Well, that's an estimation. If I sell these 12 balls in line, we'll be up $120.
Yep. Joe, can you do the four-way test? Well, we may have to wait. All I'm going to do is just say.
The four-way test is
True. Second. Third. Will do goodwill and friendships. Fourth. Will be beneficial to all concerned.